Sorry. Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. How you guys
Good
doing?
Great. What a great show we're going to have today, you guys. This one today is going to be.
Wait. I
Go
have
ahead.
something to say. I'm sorry to interrupt
Go
everybody.
ahead.
Good morning, Roman. Good morning, Kathy.
Bonjour.
Happy belated happy birthday.
Oh,
Kat,
to me. Yeah.
Kathy was
Happy
37
birthday
yesterday.
No,
to
37
you.
and a half years old twice.
I was trying to make you younger.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for all of the birthday wishes and all the calls and the cards and everything. I really do appreciate it, which makes me want to do this work so much more so. You know, this week has just been really phenomenal. And when I look at what our topic is today, of course, we're going to have all of our segments, but the topic is about dog aggression. You hear about a dog being aggressive because of food, because of other people, because of fear, whatever that is, but they don't know how to what to do about it. So they'll bring them to a trainer. But how do you know what kind of a trainer to go to? Is it a behaviorist you want to go to? Do you want to teach them to give you paw? To roll over? Is that what you want? What is it that you really want? So today we're going to investigate the pros and the cons and some of the misinformation that is currently being put out there that people are gravitating to and saying, "Hey, I think I like this and this is really good," but in essence, it really isn't. And Roman, I know, is going to try and be very uh, bipartisan and not look at the individual, just look at the method so that we can discuss it on a basis where you, as the consumer, as the pet owner, you, as the fan, will have the tools that you need to make the decision. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at it with Canine News. We're going to go into Canine News and then from there. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now and we're going to look at, I'm sure all of you have heard that the president's dog, Major, he's got two dogs, Major and Champ. Champ is a 13-year-old. They're both shepherds. They're both from a shelter. And Major ended up biting a Secret Service guy. And here's the video on that. So
today's briefing, and I just want to play that for our viewers.
Champ and Major, the president and first lady's dogs, members of the family, are still getting acclimated and accustomed to their new surroundings and new people. And on Monday, the first family's younger dog, Major, was surprised by an unfamiliar person and reacted in a way that resulted in a minor injury to the individual, which was handled by the White House Medical Unit with no further treatment needed. It had been previously planned already for the dogs to be cared for by family friends in Delaware during Dr. Biden's travels to military bases this week. She has a 3-day trip this week, and the dogs will return to the White House soon.
So, Lee, what do you make of what they are saying happened? You must get this from owners a lot.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think just from that clip alone, there's three key words that I pick up on. One, the dog is still acclimating to his new home environment. He was surprised. That's the second word. And then the third, by an unfamiliar person. Those are pretty strong pieces of information that we want to consider, especially when a dog has gotten to the point where they feel like they need to essentially protect themselves. Acclimation probably being one of the biggest ones. There's a theory in the training world that's called the rule of threes, which is a transition stage that most any dog goes through when they enter a new home. It's 3 days, high stress level. they need time to decompress and sleep, and just relax and reduce their stress. So a lot of times we'll find dogs, they sleep more, they may be under tables or in bedrooms, they sort of put themselves away for those first 3 days more so than they normally would. And then 3 weeks in, the dog starts to acclimate. We've set a routine. They begin to trust their environment a little bit more and the people that they come in contact with. And then 3 months in is when we can see more of the dog's true personality start to shine. So it's important to think about Major being well within those first 3 months. I think maybe only 2 months he's been in the White House. So he's right smack in the middle of that acclimation phase. So it's a big component to consider. And then
There's
of course, go ahead.
There's also, I mean, in the White House, there's a lot of people around, and some people are new people because they're coming and going. Again, we don't know exactly who this person was, and what the nature of the dog being startled was, but it's a difficult situation, I would imagine, for humans. For dogs, it's got to be, if you've been living in the Biden house, during COVID, with not a lot of people around, suddenly you're in the White House.
Exactly. And that was sort of going to be my next point. It's not just a normal transition. Major went from a quiet home with probably very few people around him generally to an enormous home with a lot of hustle and bustle and commotion and people coming and going constantly. And that's just a major.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
Not only for humans, but for dogs too. So.
I just wanted to give an overview of this is a typical situation that people look at, and some people take the side of, well, it was the owner's fault or it was the dog's fault, and it depends. Now, in this case, they're saying, well, it's the dog needed to acclimate, and that's very true. But go ahead, Roman. What did you want to say?
Yeah, first of all, there's a misconception about this 3-3-3 rule. There is no. First of all, there's no scientific evidence who confirms that 3-3-3 rules. It's just an expression. But, each dog is individual and each home and environment is individual, which means there is no time factor to that. However, there are a sequence of events. I agree with dogs are going through different development stages in their new home, which is acclimating, understanding the routines, creating a secure bond with the family, feel safe in that house. But that's a process. It's not time related. Meaning is if I do nothing for 3 days and I do nothing for 3 weeks and I do nothing for 3 months, the dog will automatically go through this process? No. Okay, the dog actually will regress and goes even worse because there is no process into it.
Right.
So we want to make sure that, first of all, this dog was adopted in November 2018 from a humane society. We don't know his background. We don't know how he ended up there. And he was not a puppy there. So this dog has a previous adoption history that we don't know. Now, if dogs go through transitions, they're going through a transition trauma. Meaning is the dog goes into survival response automatically because he's in a new environment he doesn't know before. Some dogs have PTSD from those changes, from losing the previous home, going to the shelter, staying in the shelter, being adopted, being fostered, and those processes going through. And then this dog ends up in a house and settles in. And then suddenly he moves out of where he feels safe into a strange environment, and the dog goes naturally through a trauma response. Now, this dog is not a bad dog, and I don't think the president doesn't know what he's doing with dogs. It's not his first dog. But I see what we're missing here from our judgmental perspective is that this dog is going through a trauma experience. And through this, we have to help the dog go through this process. And people who are even security and safety and interacting with those dogs need to be aware of that these dogs are guardian breeds. They're herding/guardian dogs, and it's not a purebred shepherd. Obviously not. He's a German shepherd mix, likely. I don't know. I haven't seen his genetic configuration yet. But we have to be respectful of that dog being in that state of try to figure out what his place is, what his safe place is. I haven't been in the White House, but I've seen working with embassies, there's a lot of movements going on. The dog is constantly challenged in new things happening, people coming in, people coming out. There is tension, there is disrespect to the dog's environment, a lot going on, which is normal. So these dogs need a little bit additional training while in the White House. And so I feel, from my perspective, I would definitely call in a positive reinforcement trainer and help that dog and his family through this integration process, because the president has more important things to do right now than taking care of his dog. Yeah, I know, sounds weird, but he's a public person, and right now he is not just a family person. He's a public person who represents piece of our democracy, and so
Right.
he has so many things to do. The last thing he has time for is training his dog into that. So he needs a bit of support from a family and eventually a professional on that part.
Right.
I'm not saying he shouldn't do that. He should train the dog as much as possible. But we have to be reality check here. He doesn't have that time that we have,
Right.
and the routines are broken. So he comes, he goes, he has to leave, he has to come
Right.
back. The dog is not just hanging out in the house having the regular routine. He's out of his ordinary too. So all these are environmental factors that would trigger a dog at some point.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So our next area, as you know, is always about a good dog day, and that's where Gaetan comes in. And today we're going to kind of combine Roman to the rescue and a good dog day. So let's go on. Okay, so with that now, we're going to have Rome. Here's the scenario. We asked Gaetan to take a look at the show, and if you're familiar with the show on Netflix, it's called Canine Intervention. We have not rehearsed on this. We don't know anything. So everything is going to be coming off the cuff of what Roman and Gaetan are going to talk about. Roman's going to ask Gaetan some questions about what his feelings were regarding the canine intervention. And Gaetan is going to give his honest opinion. And then we're going to discuss what the feelings are regarding this particular program. Is it good? Is it bad? Does it accomplish anything? What does it accomplish? And what are the alternatives? Okay, all right, you guys. I'm going to drop out here. So
I hear clicking.
Yep, we lost Kenny.
You
Here you
drop
go.
off.
okay,
You
all right.
drop off the cliff.
I guess if I drop off, I can't talk, which is not a good thing. I need to be able to talk. Okay, so the idea here is, Gaetan, you watched the show Canine
Yes.
Intervention, and
Yes.
I don't know if you've all watched the trailer or you haven't, but if you haven't watched it, you might want to take a look at it. Some people feel that it's wonderful. Some people feel that it's not. So we're looking at it from a dog aggression viewpoint. Are the methods good or are they not good, and what can be corrected? And it's only an opinion, folks. This is not something where we're saying this is what you have to do. So Gaetan or Roman, you might want to ask Gaetan, what questions do you want to know did he get from this show?
Gaetan,
Yes.
what did you get out of that show so far? You watched 2 episodes. I could not watch more than one. It's very frustrating to me. So,
Okay, thank you for asking, Roman. Okay, I have to clarify where I stand from. I'm not a dog expert. I'm a TV producer. So from these two points of view, what I'm going to say, you need to understand it from that point of view. So I watched 2 episodes of the show, the episode 1 and 2 yesterday, to have that fresh in my memory. And the general impression is the human is a key factor in the problem. The human interaction with the dog is a triggering factor in the behavior of the dog. That's what I observe. I understand. The second point of the show that I observe is you, based on what I saw and based on knowing how you produce a TV show, you will not have everything done, presented in full on the first episode. Otherwise, there's no reason to have a TV series. So my understanding, it goes by case study, and each case is different. And in the first case, Lady Macbeth was the name of the dog, and Lady Macbeth was a rescue dog with 3 legs. This dog background was owned by a homeless. The homeless has been shot. The dog has been shot, and the dog has been her left leg amputated to the shoulder. So it's a 3-legged dog now. Went in the shelter and has been adopted by an individual, a man, and take the dog under his care. The dog has a history of reacting aggressively against newcomer or people around. And so that's the premises of the first show. And the trainer there, Lavayette, his name, is approaching the dog and calmly was able to start interacting with the dog in the first part of the episode. So maybe in 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, who knows. The show is not telling the time frame, but from a dog barking aggressively, ready to attack the guy when he walk in, after a short period of time, the guy was able to pet the dog, okay, without any aggressive reaction from the dog. Then he took the dog with him for 3 weeks in his training facility. And the show shows some exercise done during that period of 3 weeks and shows some evolution in the period of 3 weeks. As a viewer, I was watching that, I was saying, yeah, but how did you do that? And this question is not really answered in the video. From my point of view, from my perspective, I would like to have a more in-depth approach in the training of the trainer, the handler. And it's not there in the show. There is interaction between the owner and the trainer, and there's some dialogue there which help to understand a little bit of the dynamic, but not to the point where we clearly understand the process, the thinking of the trainer. So the trainer make this dog become socially adept, able to interact with unknown people in a non-aggressive way. And that's as the end of the show. So in this case, through a training, the dog became more socially capable and did not express any aggressivity, even if a perfect stranger walked in the room and started approaching the dog or interacting with the dog. There was no biting, there was no barking, there was no aggressivity there. So that's the first show. I watched another show. It's a different case, it's a different dog, it's a different behavior. It's a puppy, a mixed husky, German Shepherd, and basically the dog is taking the owner for a walk, not the opposite way. So he's all over the place. He's jump on car, jump on fence, sniff around, go, and
Oops, Charlie.
Charlie, you don't agree with me. We'll talk about that after the show. Thank you. So it's another difference, and the trainer interact with the owner and start giving some basic training like sit, down, break, still, focus, things like that. So I will summarize my thinking. The show presents example of dog attitude and example of interaction between the trainer and the dog to bring the dog to a better behavior, quote unquote. The show itself, it's a series, so they're not covering every topic in one show, and they're not revealing every trick of the trade in one show. But as the show, I would say, will create an awareness of what the problem may be, and might create an awareness of, okay, you can identify yourself with the dog or the owner of the dog and see, yes, okay, I see what they're doing and I should not do these things, and so on and so forth. So it's not an in-person training, but it gives you some view of other dog behavior, other owner behavior, and what's done by this guy, this trainer, in that context. So I will recommend to watch that, to learn or share experience with other people and see what kind of problem they can come, what you relate to, and things like that. So that's my take on it.
Okay, so here now we have Roman to the rescue.
Help me, Roman!
Okay, your viewpoint.
So when I look at a training approach, and he's definitely expressing himself as, his training method, and I would recommend to look into that from a different point of view. Like, what do I see here? First of all, we have a person who says he has a training approach that works and does miracles. Everybody talks about dog psychology, perfectly fine. Well, when I look closer to it, I look at details. How do you assess the dog in his behavior? What are the factors that you consider as valuable information? This is where the first difference comes in between a trainer and a behaviorist. The trainer sees behavior happening in front of me. This is what I see. This is what I'm dealing with. So I try to address what I see. A behaviorist goes beyond that and says, what makes that dog make that choice to offer that behavior that I have to deal with? And if we look further deeper into that situation, what is going in the dog's mind that he feels the need to show me that behavior that I'm just observing? So we have to go really back. And then from another perspective, I have to look for what happened to that dog that he has that need to show that behavior that I see right now. That's a behaviorist. Now, looking at this Netflix series and most of those commercial TV series, they have one thing in common: fear porn and drama. As a viewer, I have to empathize with the people first who have a dog who has a problem. He's not right. And then that trainer or whoever trainer comes in to empathize with those people and to correct the dog for his misbehavior. That as an idea is completely wrong. It's kind of like dealing with children. First of all, I empathize with the people. Oh my God, you're so poor family dealing with that kind of child. I'm so sorry for you. And then let's fix the child. Is that what it is? It's that what we're looking at here? And I understand that the film industry have to push something that gets people attention. Unfortunately, easy stuff, happy stuff is boring. It doesn't have this drama involved, from what I see, and I see what people watch in general.
You're so right. Yeah.
And I also see, when I see with people observing those things, and I catch myself sometimes, what did happen? I don't want to see blood, but I want to understand what happened. So I'm attracted to sit in front of it and looking at it. But that's what drives the numbers up and the content up, right? So I'm not a TV guy. I don't know. I used to work a couple of years, a little bit in the background for public TV, but I'm not a producer, so I have no clue about that. But what I see is people are let in the situation to judge the dog for what they see without having any previous understanding what it is. And if we look back to the event that happens in the White House, everybody judges the dog who bit a person. Bad dog. or bad person.
Exactly. And
then
we
we
weren't
jump to the conclusion that dog has to be trained. That dog
right.
has to be corrected. You cannot just bite a person, okay?
Right.
But that's the reality. How many there's I don't remember how many million people out there have dogs who have similar issues. They just don't talk about it. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It is existing. And then all these people have to make a choice. Do I hire a trainer? Do I hire a behaviorist? Do I watch a TV show? And most people would say, well, let's start with the TV show. Let's see what we can get out of it. Inexpensive, like common sense kind of thing. And then watch this person applying a system that is not a system. My opinion. It is a system, but it's not what we believe it is. A person, and I watched that trailer for the first 4 minutes. I got a lot of information from there, seeing how the person comes into the house for a dog who has trauma, being shot and is amputated and has a specific relationship with that person, a survival relationship. And now this relationship is being questioned by a person who the person brought into the house, and he doesn't respect the dog's needs. So far in the beginning is very, common sense, helpful, like interacting with the dog, and then he triggers the dog. Why would I trigger a dog? Why would I challenge the dog in that space that he feels uncomfortable? In other words, we have a marriage, okay, and we know that one of these people had issues with previous not being faithful in marriages. Now I'm testing that person by bringing a mannequin or a super, intense person in that house, making out with that person. Is that how we deal with relationship issues? Triggering the person? No. So why would you trigger a dog to get into that space of fear and reaction? To show how bad the dog is? We don't need to do that. A behaviorist doesn't trigger the dog to see how bad he is. A behaviorist is supposed to know how bad looks like and help the dog change this idea. I want to be the dog's ally the moment I come into the house. I want to have as close a good relationship with the dog as the person has, for me to take over that dog if I need to. If I'm against the dog, and especially a guardian breed who is in a survival response in that house, who has been shot, or we don't exactly know the situations in the past, from a stranger, which I am coming into that house, I'm putting myself in the same position that dog has been before, and it didn't end up well. Why would I trigger the dog being one of those guys? I want to be a different guy. I'm the guy who would not expect me to be. I'm the good guy. I'm exactly the same guy your partner is. Do you want to team up with me? Yes or no? And then I give the dog choices. I give the dog choices that come in from a healthy perspective. So the dog feels comfortable making those choices. And I can direct that dog in healthy choices and reward them. Oh, you check in with me? I have something for you. You want to earn it? What do you want to do for it? Who am I in that relationship between you and me? What is your relationship between you and your partner? I need to question those relationships, and I want the dog to identify who I am in that relationship. Am I a threat? Am I a predator? Am I a prey? Am I a friend? Who am I? And I need to give that dog time to find out. So this show shows me in the first, I think, 14 minutes, that dog being failed in his own house, attacking his person he never attacked before. Why would I create that event? Why would I trigger the dog to attack his own person while the person tries to hold his dog back to not attack the trainer? That's totally wrong from the
Okay,
setup.
so let me just ask this now. What you're really saying is that you have the training that allows you to look at the dog and sense what the issues are with the dog, and you have the ability to look at the human and sense what those insecurities are, and somehow you're able to help them to connect and not have to work together is a better word, working together to make a living relationship really, really dynamic. When we look at some of these shows, they want all the drama. They want to see the blood and the guts and the gory things because that's what people are attracted to. So they sensationalize it in a lot of ways at the cost of dog, is what you're really saying.
At many dogs, because these people would take that as an example.
Okay.
The idea as a concept is wrong. The trainer or the behaviorist is not the center of interest here. It's the relationship between the dog in question and the person in question.
Right.
These people and this dog have to be empowered, not the trainer. By the end of the show, I
Yeah.
want to be the person who has a better relationship with my dog, not admire the trainer who has a system.
Okay, so what you're saying is that most of these shows focus on what the trainer is doing, the behaviorist is doing, but they're not really training the human at all. They might be showing them some methods, but one-time things, and then as soon as the trainer leaves, it might be gone, unless, of course, there's reinforcement and you do things together and you do allow that person to really connect with their dog. And it's not only just the dog on understanding the respect level and what the dog's needs and wants are, it's on allowing the dog to respect the human and provide them with the needs that they want as well. So it's reciprocal. And
Yeah.
I see what really happens in these shows. We as the viewers, we want to see something good come out of it. We like to see the bad, but we want to see the good.
Yeah, I saw the second episode is all focused on the owner and the relationship with the dog, and basically the second episode is about training the owners and how to relate to the dog and understand the psychology of the dog, but also understand what they are doing, how the dog react to that, to their attitude. So that was a different show than the first show, and I understand what you're talking about. The first show, the kind of dynamic taking place there.
Well,
I
the
would
second, sorry.
go ahead. I was saying I will give a shot to this series because the idea of having blood and aggressivity will never lead a series to a success. Because if you stay always at the same level or the same topic, it's become repetitive, it's become boring, and you lose your audience. Unless you have an audience of vampire who look for blood, and they will stick around because there's blood there.
Yeah.
I like blood.
Twilight.
Yeah, right. But a series cannot survive on just one attitude and one category of interaction. So
Well,
the first and the second episode were different in that regard, and we'll see what the future said.
I would say I would recommend to be very careful. Even if we have the theory that says, it's the owner have to have a better relationship with the dog. How do I get to that relationship? What tools do I use to get that relationship? You have to look at the person who applies that theory on his hands. How does he deal with it?
Yeah.
From my perspective, what I see, he uses what most trainers called minimum amount force necessary to get the job done. But that as a concept, it starts already from a wrong perspective. Why going with a minimum amount of force necessary? Who judges that force necessary? The trainer, the owner, or the dog? And why would I approach force into that relationship? Because dogs don't use force to clear out disputes. They use communication. Clear communication comes out of respect. They will end up with force at some point if that is falling apart and doesn't work anymore. But it's not the way to start. So if I have a dog on a choke collar, it's a wrong way to start. If I don't respect the dog's safe place, that's a wrong way to start. So I come by triggering the dog so I can use minimum amount of force to start with, which is not right. That doesn't improve the relationship. And we see a dog improving, but at what cost? Because if I create the dog a situation where your dog goes into emotional shutdown and feel helpless, whatever I do doesn't help, he will give up. Of course the behavior will change. Sure. Gunpoint in your head. You will be the best car driver ever. You're going to bring me wherever I want, and you will be respectful to my voice. If I ask you to turn the left or the right, you're going to do it. You're happy about it, right?
Right.
Say yes.
Right.
But that's not how training behavior works. It works having the dog learn to make appropriate decisions who are beneficial for his environment. He needs to understand and associate himself with his environment and how his behavior affects the environment. Some dogs don't have these abilities. Well, you have to do a little bit more work about it. I know it's boring to watch, but that's a reality. That's the
Mm-hmm.
reality of behavior and relationship. Sometimes it looks boring, but the wins, the little one wins,
Mm-hmm.
are that what we're looking for. You want a quick fix? Sure, make a quick fix. But a duct tape doesn't last long, and it
Yeah.
falls apart, and it hits you
Right.
more than that. Because what happened with those training systems that are coming from a force perspective or necessary force perspective, all they do is they suppressing it, and it will pop up somewhere else. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
will look back to that show again because it's in the past, like happens all the time, right? But the reality is these people will live with a dog forever, and that dog should be happy forever. And
Right.
I know, and I have to point that out, it's my last sentence basically, is how we feel the dog is happy about things. But the
Exactly.
dog
Right.
is not really happy about it because he's nothing less left to be unhappy about. So he's being forced to be happy with something he's actually not. I hate driving a car, but I'm happy I have a car because I can go shopping. I don't need to walk 30 miles
Yeah.
for shopping. Am I happy with my car? No. It's environmental polluting. It's not comfortable. Okay? But I have to. Does it make me a happy car driver? No.
Right.
So we have to see how that comes into play. We cannot just ignore it for the cost of audience.
Right. Well, that's a good point. And well, you don't know, but Gaetan, you had brought up a point about in series that you've got to have diversification and different topics and different subjects. But what I found very interesting about this canine intervention, and Roman brought it to my attention, that before the show even started, you had people that were activists petitioning for the cancellation of the show before it even started. So that meant that the people that were watching the trailers and whatever felt that there was some kind of inhumane animal training. And there's, I'll put the link for you guys so that you can look at it. There are a number of things, but what they're talking about that possibly this show was punishment based training.
Of course, it is.
Okay, so if that's the case, then that's therein lies the rub with most people. They don't want to see punishment based.
I need to clarify something. There is a difference between punishment in psychological perspective and punishment the way people perceive. So if we come in from a perspective of the four quadrants: positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, negative punishment. Punishment doesn't mean physical force, it's a consequence. Unfortunately, Skinner used a word that we kind of totally killed it so far.
Mhm.
But if we would appreciate consequences, would be a better mindset about that. But those people have not just consequences, they're physically affecting the dog through fear. And that's the problem on that show. It's fear based from the whole concept. I trigger fear, I make the dog look bad, I fix the behavior by applying fear, so the dog is fearful of applying that behavior that I want to get rid of.
Okay.
That's it, basically, at the bottom. How I present it, which words I use, and schmuck it out and make it look perfect through the flowers.
Schmuck it
right?
out.
Sorry, my German.
Schmuck it.
Schmuck.
It's
Hey, schmuck you. Sorry, folks.
Hey,
okay.
behave.
Make fun. You have a birthday today. You can do whatever you want.
Yesterday.
We want to make
Okay,
sure
yeah.
that we're not missing the ethical aspect of it, because that show is unethical to animals and unethical to the relationship between those people. And I know it drives people because we have a person and we have people who need help.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a foreign person. I'm not from US. I'm not American. I'm an immigrant. I see that from my perspective too. Just because I'm an immigrant doesn't make me better or different. I'm a person, I have my job, I'm a behaviorist, I need to help that family find their relationship back again. And that, who I am and where I'm from, should not be the main picture here.
Right.
Okay? It's the person who has the dog that needs help.
Yes. Okay. Well, hey guys, great show. I just have, of course, every week I have the opportunity to interview a canine, and uh, first
We're
I'm going to
looking
play.
for.
Okay, you're looking forward to it. Well,
Oh, yeah.
this is Bruce. Bruce is he was really very comical because he likes to exercise, he likes to go out and he likes to do things, but his parents seem to be very lazy, so he came up with this outfit and everything, and he had just a wonderful story to tell. So here's Bruce.
Okay, so you're wondering why I have this outfit on. Well, this is my workout outfit. Yeah, I know about going to the gym every day and that kind of stuff, but I can't get my mom or my dad to go to the gym with me. So the best thing I can do is to take them for a walk. I gotta go through all these shenanigans just to get them to get up off their butts and take a walk with me. So I put on this outfit just so that they know that it's time for us to go. You know, it's difficult. It's really hard to be training humans. It really is. These are my people. And I wish they would understand me a little bit more so that we could get things done. You know what I mean? Okay, well, stay tuned. I'm going to be letting you know how we're doing on our walks.
Bruce, I agree with you.
I do too. Yeah, I do too. You know, all these dogs that are coming forward for these dog thoughts are really really insightful to all of us. And I want to clarify something. We had somebody that commented on the show earlier about why would we bring up about Biden. I had to remove the comment because we don't want any negative thoughts on our shows, folks. We just don't allow it. And we don't allow any negative comments. If you have a comment that you'd like to say of a different opinion, but we don't allow that. The main reason why we brought up about Biden's dog is just like Roman said, that here was a dog that had been judged. And we wanted to clarify the judgment angle of it and look at what the dog's feelings were and where the dog was coming from. And did they do the right thing? Yes, they did the right thing. They took the dog out, they brought him into a different area, and they focus on what the dog needs. So nobody's saying anything was bad about it. And I guess that person must have just construed it incorrectly. I want to close lastly with the idea that we are in the process of forming some Dog Connection network partners, and I'm proud to announce that Roman, with his holistic dog training, is one of our network partners, and we really sincerely are proud to have him as part of what we're doing. And with that, I have to apologize because for all this time, I have not really taken a sincere, close look at what Roman has done and really does. And Kelly, my associate here, her and I were talking about that. Gee, wouldn't it be nice if Roman could do intake virtually on a dog that somebody adopts from a shelter or from a rescue before they bring them in, and they know the assessment so that they can connect and have that relationship before all the fur flies. And lo and behold, I go to Roman's website and look what's on the front there, folks. It says, train your dog from the comfort of your own home with online training. I didn't even know that he had that. I knew he was doing online training, but not from the viewpoint of as soon as you get a dog. So you want to have an assessment, you want to have him give you a consultation. Super affordable. I mean, who wouldn't want to spend that so that you know what you're getting into once you are involved with bringing a dog into the family. The other thing is that what I love about what Roman does, and I know Gaetan is with me on this, it's not dog training. It's relationship training between the dog and the person. He's bringing the two together and he's letting them live cohesively in an environment together. And he's training about that. But he's allowing you, the person that has the dog, he's allowing you to be comfortable in your own home with your own dog so that that dog can be a part of the family. Mm-hmm. And we absolutely love that. So there's a healing portion. And if you really think about it, I know myself, if I got a dog, there's a reason why. There was something missing in my life that I needed to have, and that dog filled that need fill that void. And that happens a lot. So maybe before you even go and get a dog, if you have the desire, why do you want a dog? What's the reason? So that's all I have to say. End of show thoughts.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Hey, we got Muka here says it is an amazing show. Before you judge a dog, you have to look for all the circumstances around him, how he was being raised in the environment that surrounds him now. You're absolutely right, Muka.
Well, I totally agree. As a veterinarian, I'm not a veterinarian, but
Muka
as a
is.
veterinarian, that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
You see a pimple, you don't treat the pimple. You try to find out what caused the pimple. If you see an animal suffering, no matter how he suffers, you need to understand what the root of the suffering is, so you can treat the root instead just, are you just going to pull teeth because the dog has a toothache?
Right.
But the dog training is there right now, and we need to get away from that. Being reactive is not healthy. So my approach is being proactive, and that's why I can help people proactively, remotely. I don't need to be physically there holding your hand, like, this is your dog, say hello, right? Be friends, drink a glass, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm teaching them how to set up the dog for success. Teaching them the parenting skills they have to know before they adopt a dog in the house. Because I'm not a psychic. Nobody knows what the dog will look like if he goes into a home. But what we know is how mammals function, what they're looking for. How do we create the environment for them to feel safe and comfortable and not neglected?
Mm-hmm.
Things like not feeding enough the dog, not knowing what to feed the dog, not knowing how to set his environment to feel safe, his breed needs and his emotional and physical needs of each individual dogs are important. It's not just obedience. So that's why I'm successful. I'm doing this online training since 2009 full time. I think I've rough numbers like 2,500 clients, technically working with them on one-on-one in one-on-one sessions, because single sessions I've stopped even counting, but family sessions where we have more than 5 sessions are rare. So usually between 1 and 5 sessions, that's all it takes to get a dog transformed to a place much better than he is now.
Okay, so we're going to get actively involved with helping Roman get these people that are going to adopt, because the truth is, folks, if you do get the training and the information and the right information and you have the connection, the chances of you relinquishing that dog or mistreating that dog or abusing it because of behavior that isn't acceptable to you is so much more conducive to having a good dog in your home. And that's what Gaetan always says is a good dog day. This is another good dog day, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, that's it for our show for today, and we will see.
Happy birthday again.
Okay, thank
Young
you.
girl.
Yeah. Okay, we'll see you next week, folks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.